The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
You're rocking with the most awesomest.
The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most awesomest.
On 1450 and 95.9.
You're rocking with the most awesomest.
Worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
Rocking with the most awesomest. All right, let's go.
And thanks for joining us, family. We hope you had a great weekend. Later, Morgan State University's Dr. Ray Wimbush will be here. Dr. Wimbush will analyze, actually, the move by some schools to rewrite history. For example, some of these schools claim that our ancestors were immigrants instead of captured enslaved people. Dr. Wimbush will discuss what changes like this would mean to the reparations struggle. Dr. Wimbush will also talk about Garvey's influence on the black struggle, because Garvey's birthday is tomorrow. And, of course, he's going to look at the situation in Haiti and in Afghanistan. But to get us started, the Mooney Twins, Dwayne and Daryl. You know them as the conscious comedians who used to open for their father, Paul, and also Dick Gregory. Mooney Twins, welcome back to WOL Radio.
Hello. Always great to be back, my friend. How are you?
We're doing well. Good to have you fellas back again. Let me say this. Are you guys still on the road, or have you done your final mic drop?
Oh, wow. No, we have not done our final mic drop. We are back and forth on the road and in town doing a tribute to our father and constantly doing wealth portal seminars for the community. So we're very, very, very busy right now. And we just signed a deal for all the fans to know out there. Nas and Dave Chappelle, along with the Mooney siblings, which of course I'm the lead sibling, the oldest of Paul Mooney. We are they are the executive producers of the Paul Mooney documentary happening right now, my brother, and we are excited about that. So a lot of exciting things are happening, Brother Carl.
We're excited about that as well. Do they have a lot of stuff on your dad, or are they going to have to depend on you guys?
They have a lot of things. This is Dwayne Mooney. A couple of years ago, a few years, about 5-6 years ago, a lady was doing shooting a lot of footage to do her own documentary. So we have a lot of footage. They're going to be able to use that because they're in partnership with her. Her name is Mary. And it's going to be outstanding. I mean, can you imagine Nas and Dave Chappelle, executive producers with the Mooney family, producing a documentary on Paul Mooney? Because Dave Chappelle is a superior fan, because we all know that Paul Mooney was on his show. And it seemed that Paul Mooney always, the top conscious comedians, always connected to Paul, all the way from Richard Pryor to the Wayans brothers to Eddie Murphy to Dave Chappelle. So he has went from generation to generation getting love, and a lot of rappers loved him. In fact, there's an interview of Paul Mooney interviewing Tupac. So Tupac was a big fan. Snoop Dogg was a big fan. So there are many rappers, as Nas was a big fan of the icon Paul Mooney.
Wow, that's going to be interesting. I'd love to hear that conversation with Tupac. But you know what sort of sets your dad apart from a lot of the other comics? He was spontaneous. You know, you never knew what he would say. You know, it's like, did he rehearse these jokes, or it just like, you know, it just came off the top of his head, and stuff was just funny. You know,
that is remarkable that you caught on to that. What you saw about Father Paul Mooney on stage is who he was for real. You know, much like Dick Gregory, they was on all the time, compared to like a Richard Pryor who was quiet. Richard Pryor was a quiet comedian in real life, but when he got on stage, all of that blasted out, all that creativity. But Paul Mooney and Dick Gregory, Paul Mooney, they were on all the time. So what you saw on Paul Mooney on stage, when you say the spontaneity, he was totally spontaneous. He could make up a joke, and he was in creative mode all the time. For example, here's an example. one of the stories that we have a T-shirt on. The same. We were writing for him for Judge Mooney, which we're going to re-release too for BET. He was a judge. It was a comedy. It was Judge Mooney, right? Or like a what do you call it? Reality.
I remember
show.
that. Yeah, I remember that.
So we're doing the show. We're writing on the show. We come up one day and we had just gotten business credit, Carl, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. We just got a new house. We both came up on set driving twin brand new Mercedes, both of us black. So we drive up on set. We got the money rolling. We got the house. We got the cars, the Mercedes. Our father drives up on set with a 1969 convertible Cadillac. He drives up on set, top down. He sees us drive up. He jumps out the car, and he looks at, he's talking about spontaneously. He looks at our cars, looks at us, looks at his, looks at us, and says, "You Negroes have gone from coon to tycoon."
Wow. You know what? Let me share something with you, which I've never told you guys. You know, one time we were considering hiring him to do mornings. And they told me and the sales manager to meet with your dad over at Frank's place, or is it the Jerry's Flying Fox? I think over that era, you know, on Santa Barbara before it became King.
Yeah.
Those restaurants back there. Yeah. So we went out there for breakfast and we were having the conversations. So your dad says, "I understand there's some words you can't say on the radio. What are they?" So I told him the 7 words. So he says, "Wow. I don't think I can do that, man." Every day, 3 hours a day, and I can't use those. I can't even say the S word. So it ended right there. But it would have been interesting, you know, to hear him on the radio every day. Hit that pause button every few minutes, because like I said, he was, and just having the conversation, I could tell he was just spontaneous. He just go in and have a meeting and come out with jokes and try jokes. Nah, he just let it rip. So that idea died right there at that restaurant.
Totally creative, right, Dwayne?
Oh yeah, he was a genius. I mean, he was a walking conscious joke teller, because he had something that he would find racism in the difference between a white mushroom and a chocolate milk dud. He's gonna find racism, because that's where his mindset was and his intent, and he was driven on bringing out racism and calling it out. So no matter where he was, if he was in the hood, if he was in Beverly Hills, he was always calling it out. So this man, I mean, I remember a story when I was first came to LA, because, you know, Daryl and I were from Oakland. We were naive with the world and the mental racism that people would run on you. And we came out here from Oakland, California, and we were staying with our father. And we were out here to collect unemployment, because we were working in Oakland and everything, and hard to find a job in LA. And I went down there to collect unemployment, and the lady told me there, she said, "Well, what I want you to do so you can get it is to, because I told her," she said, "Well, what do you do for work?" I said, "Well, I babysit my little brother." And she said, "What I want you to do is get a note from your stepmother to prove that you're babysitting your little brother." I bring the note back, and she literally denies me of unemployment because I'm working. Okay, total setup. My father, when I came home, I'm like tears in my eyes. I said they didn't accept. They denied me. And he said, "What? They denied you of unemployment? Let's go back down there." Well, who was it? Was it a white person? I said, it was a white lady. It was that white bee. Let's go down there. She was using you. You were naive. Let's go down there. So we go down there, and he just talks loud in front of in the office, getting everybody's attention, basically cussing her out. 5 minutes later, I got my unemployment.
Did she know who he was?
I don't know if she knew who she was. I know she looked frightened, because he was just talking. This white lady, She tried to run game on my son. This man is only 16 years old. What is she doing? She wouldn't have did it for a little young white kid. No, I won't be having it. He'll be getting his unemployment. He babysits his brother. He doesn't work at home. What, are you crazy? Are you crazy, white lady? No, give him his unemployment. Give it to him now, or I will turn and burn this MF to the ground.
You know what was your dad's delivery as comedians? His delivery, he was so serious about his jokes, and people are looking and trying to figure out is he serious or is this because he don't even smile and laugh at his jokes. He was just serious. When he, it's sort of like what they call it, deadpan. His delivery was sort of different for most comedians. Did you guys find that?
Yeah. Well, like Dwayne said earlier, there was a seriousness behind what he was saying about racism. There was 3 very, very powerful books that I remember in the household. There was The Game of Life, which is a self-development, self-help book, famous classic. There was Red Foxes at that time, back in the 70s. It was an encyclopedia of black comedians. And then there was a third book that I'm sure you're familiar with, Destruction of a Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Destruction of a Black Civilization. These books were in his library, major in his library, and he read every week Jet Magazine and The Final Call and Hollywood magazines, but Jet magazines and The Final Call, the Nation of Islam paper. So he was getting very, very serious information. So behind his humor was a seriousness. He did not, you notice our father's jokes, he did not make black people the butt of the joke. Because in the comedy clubs, like the famous comedy clubs like the Comedy Store and the improvisation that were very famous, when you had black comedians and white comedians, black people, and they talked about racism, black people were always the butt of the joke. Like, for example, you hear even today, when you get with a black person,
hold that joke right there, because we got to take a break. Hold that, Daryl or Dwayne. Hold that right there. We got to take a short break. When we come back, I'll let you tell that joke. I'll also share with you something that Dick Gregory told me. 800-450-7876. Speak to the Mooney Twins. We'll take your calls after the short break on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, where information is power. Thanks for staying with us, folks. Our guests are the Mooney Twins. We're going to talk money in a moment, but we're giving you some of their background. Is they come from the comedy world. They used to open for their father, Paul Mooney, and also for Dick Gregory. So it was Dwayne or Daryl. I'll let you finish. You're about to tell us either a joke or a story.
There you go. What I was saying about the butt of the joke. Our father, in comedy, you always see black people are the butt of the joke. For instance, even black comedians will say, when a black woman gets with a white man, white man will have good credit, where a black man will give you food stamps. So that makes the black man the weaker end of the butt of the joke. Was common in comedy. Paul Mooney reversed that. He made the white people the butt of the joke. For example, when white folks go to Africa and they say that black men are doing polygamy, that's what they mean, because he's bigger than me. That kind of joke, that makes the white man the butt of the joke. That's what Paul Mooney was about. He had a consciousness behind his jokes, like Jesus is black, so was Cleopatra. So that was the name of the title of one of his albums. So he was very conscious. He knew what he was doing. He knew he was edging on white people. He knew he was making them uncomfortable, and he pushed it even more. Even in the club, when he would get them mad and angry and they wanted to walk out, he said, I hope when you leave and you get to your cars, my Negro friends are going to rob you. So he would just edge it on and push it and push the envelope, and that's what he was about. There was a consciousness behind his comedy. Like, again, he called himself the Malcolm X of comedy. What a coincidence. He transitioned on Malcolm X's birthday. So pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to share something with Dick Gregory, and you guys probably know the person Greg was talking about, so don't mention his name. Anyway, a comic, and he talked about Rosa Parks and said that Rosa Parks did nothing but sit on a big fat BA. Greg was incensed about that. So don't mention the person's name now, folks. And he never spoke to that comic again. There's no way, people to try to bring him together and work that out. And he says, that's absolutely, Rosa Parks is just off limits as far as he's concerned. There's nothing funny about saying something funny about Rosa Parks. And he went to his grave, not even speaking to that particular person because he's still around here. That's why I don't want to mention his name, but I know you fellas know who she is. And if you've heard, you've probably seen it in one of the movies, so you probably figured out what it is. But
it's so funny because that person, the comedian you're talking about, I had took Dick Gregory to a health place. They had these machines that worked with your mind and healed your body that you hooked up to, and this guy. So I brought Dick Gregory in, and wow. I brought Dick Gregory in, and he hooked Dick Gregory up, and he thought, he really knew Dick, but he really know him, so he thought Dick, but, he said he usually plays like real soft relaxation music of nature, of trees and water. But he said, since it's Dick Gregory and he's a comedian, I'm going to put on something that's funny. So he put on that movie where the guy says that in the movie, that comedian. So Dick Gregory is hooked up to this machine being healed and have to watch this movie. Right? Because I leave. I didn't know that movie was on. I leave and go somewhere else, and I'm going to come back. And I come back, and I asked Dick, when it was over, I said, how was it? He said, don't you ever, right? Well, no, he told me. He was like, I didn't like it. And the guy came in the room. I said, Dick said you didn't like it. He said, no, I didn't like it at all. You know why? Because you put on that MF movie with that MF that I don't even talk to because he talked about yours just went off on him for 15 minutes. And he told me, you left me here, you little light-skinned Negro, you left me in here with this stuff, right? I don't want to do nothing else because I had another machine for him to get on. I don't want to do nothing else. It took me 20 minutes to talk Dick Gregory into getting on the other machine. Right? I have a picture of it. I'm going to send it to you. He gets on the machine. He gets on the other machine. He said, okay, I'm going to just do this for you. Oh, mother, don't you ever, you just go off on another table. Don't you ever put on those stuff like that. Then he goes, lays down, stay on this machine. This guy's just apologized. I'm sorry, Dick Gregory. I didn't know. And he got on this machine for about a half hour, and he was so relaxed. He said, now that was wonderful. Right? And he just relaxed, and them two became best friends after that. So that's fun. So that was hilarious.
Well, let me ask you fellas, though, how did you guys sort of transition into the making money, starting to figure out, the wealth game? Why did you, you say you're still doing the comedy stuff, but why did you move over to the wealth area?
Well, we started off with Dick Gregory back in the day with the Bahamian diet when we were in the early 80s. That's when we really learned about money, and we were getting into nutrition, and we were already in nutrition, but we were learning about the business of nutrition with network marketing. And then when we went to the Million Man March, and Minister Farrakhan was like giving orders and what people to do when they go back home, do it at another intense level in your area of expertise. And for that, our area of expertise was MLM and affiliate marketing and nutrition. So we went back, really building on that as we were doing comedy, as we were in the community. We saw that as a way for the average person without having to go back to school to learn about business. So over the years, that morphed from nutritional products to investing with the stock market and then with the Forex market. Yes, sir.
Remember when we hired Paul and Dick, one of our network marketing company, Remember we had Paul
Yeah.
and Dick speak at the network marketing company.
Yeah, and the network marketing company. It was outrageous. They was up there doing their thing. That had nothing to do with network marketing. But we had learned how to use their names and their fan base to draw people in, but they had to have somebody to back up and build, and that was us, and talk to them like they were decent people. So over the years, man, we learned, and now we gotten into investing with cryptocurrency and the international currency, the Forex market. So, and now we're making like over $6,000 a week, Carl, with our wealth portal, which we call the wealth portal.
You better clarify that, Daryl, please.
Yeah.
You said we making $6,000 a week.
Yeah.
Can you clarify that? You're making $6,000 a week. You're making
I am, and you are too. Yeah. The clarity is okay. Together is $10,000 to $12,000 a week.
Yeah.
Each of us are
Be real
making.
clear on that, because when you say twins, when you say we, they think you're talking about both of them.
Yeah, they think I mean 3,000 each. Yeah, so that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're on that road, and we're building and we're teaching people and training people, Carl, how to make and build wealth with this cryptocurrency. Look at cryptocurrency. 10 years ago, it was zero, and now it's at $46,000 to $50,000 for a Bitcoin. So it's just incredible and remarkable what's happening in the market. But you got to know what you're doing, and you got to be working with the right people. And we work with a lot of Black-owned companies who are doing it the right way, brother.
Yeah, this really came from Dick Gregory, because our thing with debate with Dick Gregory was always, how come you don't never have money solutions like you did when you were pushing the Bahamian diet? Because that's when we hooked into Dick Gregory, as Daryl said, when he was promoting and helping people make money and helping people get healthy. And that's the energy that we loved. And so we just kept it going, working with Mata, Ken Bridges, who was killed. He was shot by the Philadelphia sniper. He was just putting gas in a gas station, allegedly. So to that day, that's what Dell and I always tried to bring to the community, wealth building systems. But now, because of the cryptocurrency in the Forex market and investing that we got heavy into and connecting that to affiliate marketing, network marketing, we've just taken off. So we have, not only are we making a lot of money, but we have a lot of Black folks finally making good, great money. And as Daryl said, we work with a lot of Black companies that do this, that people don't know of. In fact, 4 of our companies that we work with are Black-owned, is dealing with the Forex or cryptocurrency or a combination of both. So we understand the value. When we talk about recycling Black dollar, that's what we're doing. We're doing business with companies that are doing what, these international companies do, the companies in the UK do. Black folks are doing the same thing, and we are making money, and we're doing well. Black folks, we got a company that owns their own coin. We got a Black company that's trading cryptocurrency in the Forex. We got a Black-owned company that just trades cryptocurrency for you in your own account. We got a Black company that has bots that helps you trade, and they teach you how to trade. I got so much going on. It's ridiculous. So we find.
Well, let me jump here and ask you fellas this, though. Which one gives you the most satisfaction, making the money or making people laugh?
Well, when you're making money,
what about laughing all the way to the bank, Carl? Okay. Look, man, ain't no funny when you ain't got no money. Ain't no joke when you broke. But I tell you this, the answer to that, we just went to Baltimore, right? Did a tribute to our father. Got a standing ovation. But guess what? We were part producers of the show, meaning putting up the money for the show, because we got the money to put up. So it all works together, man. It really all works together. And like Dick Gregory, he used to tell us all the time. He said, y'all going to be rich. He said, that's your job. He said, my job was the social thing, but y'all's job is the money thing, because we used to talk about this all the time. Teach them Black folks how to make that money, That's your job, not mine. That's your job, Mooney Twins. And he used to tell us, y'all going to be making so much money one day. I'm telling you, Mooney Twins, you're going to walk through the airport and the alarm's going to go off. That's how much money y'all going to be making.
All right, hold that thought right there. We're going to break that down on the other side. We got to take another short break. Folks, you want to join this conversation with the Mooney Twins, hit us up at 800-450-7876, and we'll take your calls after the short break on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power. And thank you for staying with us, folks. I guess the Mooney Twins, and they're previously known, I guess they're still known as the Conscious Comedians. As they mentioned earlier, they used to open for Dick Gregory and their dad, Paul Mooney. But right now, they're into making money. They say they want to make the black community rich and teach us how to make money, at least.
Yeah.
So, Daryl or Dwayne, what are the first steps we need to do to get into the money game?
Well, first of all, I want to say this. That whole thing with Dick Gregory, Dick Gregory was about the civil rights. The Mooney Twins are about the silver rights. Okay? So that means we're about the money. So what's the first step? The first step is that you got to have the mindset. The two things that we teach is the millionaire mindset and also financial IQ. Because the millionaire mindset, once you dream and you think big, you will attract opportunity. But financial IQ will help you get that opportunity, especially if it's money, and turn it over and over and over again. So you want to mix millionaire mind with financial IQ. That's the first step.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me jump in. So what about credit? Do you have to have good credit to get into this game?
That's the part. You don't have to have it.
You don't have to have good credit to get in to this game that we're talking about. You can have the worst credit in the world, but financial IQ is a part of having great credit in the long run because, like, for instance, you have so many people who are financially illiterate. There are 3 bureaus, right, when you have your credit score. But I have told a brother, he said, man, it's a friend of mine. He was like, hey, what's the best credit score to have? I said, have an 800 credit score. He said, what? I've got a 900 credit score. I said, man, how you got a 900 credit score? He said, well, I got 300, 300, 300. Altogether, that's 900. That's financial illiteracy, okay? If you got 300, 300, 300, you got a 300 credit score. You do not add them all up together. So they got to all be a 900, so at least 2 of them. So what great credit can do for you, Carl, what it can do, though, it can be a benefit. It can be leverage because you can go get financing from the bank, loans, financing that you can use in our programs and invest and make money because more money because you're coming in at a bigger level. When I started, I came in with $7,500, so $5,000 of that was from business credit, so I get how that works. But other people can come in as low as $100 and make money, just build it slowly. So really it's the mentality, as Dwayne said, it's the prosperity mentality, it's the wealth mind, it's the millionaire mind, and it's that financial IQ. And there's a difference between financial literacy and financial IQ. Financial literacy is the information you have on a financial subject. For instance, you learn how to trade on the Forex market. That's financial literacy. But this is the key, when you take that information, whatever financial information, you start making money off that information, that's financial IQ. And the more money you make, Carl, the higher your financial IQ. So, yes, man, this is where you start with the mindset. And then you get with a vehicle in order to make money from that mindset. And we have the vehicles and the mindset to help make that happen.
All right. Take us through, give us an example. I got $100 and I say, Mooney Twins, I want you to invest $100 for me. What do I do?
I'm going to do like Kevin Hart did when he was speaking to Don Cheadle. $100?
Oh, when he said he was old.
Yeah, when he said he was old. When he said he was 56. 56. $100. $100. So
What about $1,000? Let's start at $1,000.
yeah, what about $10,000?
Okay, let's start at $1,000 grand. We'll start at the grand. Go ahead.
But what? I'm milking it. So the $100, if somebody just has $100, well, we always tell them you can get started with $100. But what we want you to do every time you get $100, keep putting money in the system. I have people put in $100 one time. We have companies that pay 3 to 5% a week. Now, 3 to 5% a week on $100 may be $4. So they look at a month, they may see $8, $16, right? So they don't see a lot of growth. So they turn around 2 months, they may see $26, $30, something like that. Well, they're looking at their $100 didn't grow. But what if they had $10,000 in? That same $30 would be $3,000. So we always tell people when you have small amounts of money, keep stacking, keep stacking, keep stacking, keep investing. Every time you have extra money, keep investing so you can build it. You can build
your trading balance.
You just don't want
your investments.
You just don't want to just put $100 in. That'll defeat the purpose. Keep building it. Keep building it. And we have people coming in for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. We have people literally making thousands of dollars a week. But these people have an investor's mindset. Where an investor mindset, which is part of financial IQ, they think different. They're not looking for this lottery. They don't have this lottery mentality. Well, let me just see what happens. Let me just throw it in and see what happens. They have a direct level of consciousness and a plan on how to build their wealth through investing, because you want your money to be working harder for you than you do for it. That is the key. Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah. Dwayne was right on point, and you got to look at yourself to invest. Like, say, who's investing? Who's investing? Why do I want to invest? Well, the 1%ers that we're talking about, or the 5%, 1%, 5% that changes up, that are controlling the 95% or the 99%, that 1 to 5% are investors. That's what rich people do. This is what banks do with your money. You're putting your money in banks as savings, but they're taking your money, banks are, and their big business, and they're investing. They're investing in real estate. They're investing in Forex. They're investing in stock market. They're investing in cryptocurrency, some banks, and financial institutions. So what you do is you become your own bank. You start, like Dwayne said, making your money work harder for you than you are for it. We said 2 to 3 to 5% weekly returns, where banks are giving you 2 to 5% yearly returns. So banks are making up to 80% of your money monthly, but you are making 5% yearly off your money. So the banks is the big pimps. So become your own pimp, become your own bank, invest your own money. But again, Carl, get with the right people so you're doing the right thing. Because, for instance, cryptocurrency. People saying, I can't make no money in cryptocurrency right now. I wish I would have got it in it 2 years, 10 years ago when it was low. It doesn't matter. See, people who buy cryptocurrency coins, let's say you bought it at $40,000, then it goes down to $30,000. You've lost $10,000, and you can't make any money till it comes back, because if you sell it now that you bought it $40,000 and it's down to $30,000, you're only going to get $30,000 for it, so you lost $10,000. So you're sweating now because you're waiting for it to come back up to 40 and to go back past 40, so now you're in profit. But when you're trading, you make money. When you trade, you buy when it's going up, you sell when it's going down. So when you're trading, you're making money as it's going up, and you're making money as it's going down. We work with people who are trading for you. That's why you can make 2 to 5% weekly returns, and they have not missed a payment in 2 years. These are black people, Carl, in 2 years have not missed a payment. And this is why we are making $5,000 to $6,000 a week, my brother, because we work with the right people.
And we're going on a break, but I got a couple of questions for you, for both of you brothers. Let me ask you this first question, though. How do you convince black folks? There's a trust issue amongst us. We can't ignore that. How do you get beyond that trust issue?
Good question.
So I'm gonna let you speak on that, Daryl.
This is how I get by, brother. By first me being the person that trusts. Okay? For instance, the company that we work with, all the companies that we work with, the black owners of the companies, and this is one of them, called us up when our father transitioned, called us up and said, hey, I was been a fan of your father since I was in college. My condolences. This is the owner of the company. Now, you don't have owners of companies calling you and wishing you condolences. So the trust issue comes from your research and the intrinsic value of a company. When you research who's the owner, what's their background, has the company been paying, look up on the internet, what's the negative, then you find out that the negative was saying before the company was even the company. So there's certain people out there who put out negative stuff just for you to come to their webpage so they can make money off of you, because a lot of it doesn't even make sense. But you find the positives and negatives, you research intrinsic value, you talk to the owners, you talk to the people who are making money, you see who's making money, you look at the system. Does the system make sense? You look, are you making money? Can you make money? How fast do you make money? Because with us, you make money the first week. So you start trusting the system. When you trust the system, then you can trust the money. But there are no guarantees in investing. You always you always put up money you can lose. And plus, we diversify. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Daryl said something very key. First, and that goes into the millionaire mind.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand that your life is golden, that you are worth more than any investment, you have to invest in yourself. You have to believe that.
Yeah, well, hold that thought right there. We got to take another quick break, and I'll let you finish that thought. And we got some folks who want to talk to you. 800-450-7876. Talk to the Mooney Twins about making money. We'll take your calls after this quick break on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, where information is power. Thank you for staying with us, folks. I guess the Mooney Twins. The Mooney Twins are now into the money-making ventures, and they want to get the black community rich. They're going to show how to make money. There are ways to make money, and we need to take advantage of some of these ways. Before we get back to it, let me just remind you, at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Dr. Ray Wimbush from Morgan State University. A lot of stuff to talk with Dr. Wimbush. One of the things we're going to talk about, there's a plan afoot to rewrite history. For example, they claim that our ancestors were immigrants instead of captured enslaved people. This is what they teach in the schools. We're going to find out how he feels, what that do to the reparation struggle. Also later this week, medical doctor Velva Bowles will be here. Dr. Bowles talk about the vaccines and give us some alternatives to the vaccines. Also, Dr. Julius Garvey, Marcus Garvey's dad, will be here tomorrow because Garvey's birthday is tomorrow. And Dr. Gerald Horn will also join us from the University of Houston. So if you're in the DMV, keep your radio locked right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL. Is it Dwayne or Darryl? I don't know which one, so I'll let you finish your thought before I take a call for you.
Yes, this is Dwayne. I was talking about that millionaire mind. You got to believe it. You got to see it. You got to feel it. You got to have the intent of you deserve wealth. A lot of us think money is a bad thing. Money is a wonderful thing. You hear money is the root of all evil. A lot of religions say, or the love of money is the root. Then they say, no, they don't say the money is the root of all evil. They say the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, that's the same thing, fool. You got to love money. Money, if you don't like money, money won't like you. When I have my money in my pocket, I make sure the ones are face looking real good. All the little white boys on the money, they straight up on the $5. Everything's looking good. We always tell black folks to say, I don't like money because white folks is on the cover of money. Well, we tell them, look, if you don't like money, make sure you put it in your back pocket so white folks is always kissing your behind.
All right, hold that thought right there. 800-450-7876. Brother Ali's joining us. He's in South Carolina. He's on line 3. Brother Ali, you're on with the Mooney Twins.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's everybody? I just want you to know I learned more on your show, and I had 8 years of college, and I learned more on your show in 1 year than all 8 years. But Brother Mooney, I was listening to Warren Ballantyne. He's on this same station at 8 o'clock in the morning. He said on Thursday of last week, he said buy AMP. AMP, it was with Dodge. I had to get, not Dogecoin, but Coinbase. So the first time in my life I bought some of that was Friday. So I just want y'all to know, let me tell you why, because AMP is supposed to be how you pay for your groceries at all of the Walmarts all over the United States and abroad. And so, because they already don't want to take your cash. So I just want you all to explain it to the people.
Wow. AMP, I'm going to write that down. AMP, that's a coin?
Yes, AMP. Oh, it's 6 cents a share. 6 cents a share.
I'll look at it. Is that a stock or is it a coin? Because you said you bought it on Coinbase. Did you buy it on Robinhood or Coinbase?
Yeah, you can get it through Coinbase, but I think it's a stock.
Is it a coin? Yeah, I don't know if you can get it on Coinbase if it's a stock.
Yes, sir. I'm kind of ignorant. I don't know much about that thing.
Yeah. So this is financial IQ. AMP is a stock, so you will get that on Robinhood or any stock company or any stock broker. That is not a cryptocurrency coin. That's what threw me off. That's where you have to be very clear. I'm not saying it's not a good stock to buy. It's just that it's a stock and it's not a coin.
Okay.
Right. Thanks, Brother Ali.
Supposed to go up. So. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Let's go into the cryptocurrency now because it's so volatile. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. How do we know, if you're going to invest in cryptocurrency, should we be in for the long road, or how do you gauge when to get in and when to get out? When do you start using your money on playing with house money?
This is funny. Now, I'm going to answer this again, and then you follow up. I just want to lay down the base. The thing with anything, the stock market, cryptocurrency, anything that you're doing, you always want to buy low and sell high. Buy low and sell high. Or if you're a long-term investor, you want to buy low. If it gets lower, you buy more. It gets lower, you buy more. And because eventually it's going to go up if it's backed by something substantial. All coins are not equal. Like that Dogecoin was not backed by anything strong. An investor, especially a trader, loves volatility because that's serious money. And this is how the games that they play. Because let's pick out Bitcoin for one. It's backed by some serious stuff, that technology. Now, blockchain, whole bunch of stuff. Now, when we look at Bitcoin, and Ethereum is even better than Bitcoin. It's going to take over Bitcoin soon. Now, Bitcoin, because that's the grandfather of Bitcoin. Of cryptocurrency. So we want to get in when stuff is high. Oh, everybody getting in. And then when black folks get in, the average black person get in, they say, oh, man, look, that's the man. As soon as I get in, it go down. That's the man messing with it, stopping me from making money. No, you just got in when it's late because you're moving with the herd. So you don't buy on the news. You buy on the rumor. The rumor is the news before the news come out. That's when you buy. You have to know where to get that information. And you have to be able to read charts to know when to buy certain coins instead of just somebody telling you to do something. Do your own research, Daryl.
All right. Well, hang on, fellas, because we got a bunch of folks want to talk to you now. We're racing the clock. I got some tweets as well. 800-450-7876. Hassan is in D.C. He's on line 3. Hassan, you're on with the Mooney Twins.
Yeah, hello?
You're on the air, Hassan.
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, I just wanted to call and say I've been doing crypto for 4 years, and it pretty much changed my life. And I wanted to give an update on AMP. AMP, it actually is a cryptocurrency. So it wasn't a stock. It actually is a cryptocurrency trading on Coinbase at about 6 cents. But I wanted to ask you a question. What would you say to the people that look at the coins that's worth pennies and try to buy a lot of those coins to accumulate a quantity of coins versus Bitcoin, where there's only 21 million of them in existence? Because a lot of these little coins may have 1 trillion in existence. So what would you say to that? And I'll take that off the air. Thank you. I appreciate everything.
I'm glad for you clarifying the AMP because I just don't know about it, but I'll look it up. What you want to do is, Daryl said it earlier, is diversification. You want to make sure you're holding on to the major coins like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, these type of coins. You want to make Litecoin that you own that, and then you play with the coins that are 5 cents, 6 cents, because it's like penny stock. Difference between a penny stock and a stock that's been around for a while. If you had a stock market portfolio, you look at it the same way, because you know the Bitcoin and the Litecoin, you know they're backed by substance. They've been around, but they're going to continue to go up. But they may not go up as fast as the ones that cost 6, 7, 10 cents, etc., where you can buy a lot of it. You buy a lot of that 6 cents, say $500 worth or $1,000 worth. You know, that'll increase in value. It may go up to 5,000 on you. Say, for instance, that 6 cents goes up to $1. You can get rich by those type of coins. But then at the other end, the coin may not do anything. So you want to have a proper, again, financial IQ, a proper balanced diversity of what coins you own. But there's nothing wrong with playing with different coins that are not expensive to get. So, yes, by all means, play.
800-450-7876. Robert's in Atlanta. He's on line 4. Robert, you're on with the Mooney Twins.
Good afternoon, brothers.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, brother.
Yes, sir. I was calling to give some clarity on AMP as well. AMP. It's called AMP. It used to be called Flexicoin. They rebranded last year in September. So now they're known as AMP. And it's ranked number 50 on CoinMarketCap. So that is pretty strong. That means that it's not that high risk. It's like a low risk coin based on that. And as far as it being used for Walmart, I wouldn't be surprised I hadn't heard that. I know that that's what they're trying to do. That I think is a strong coin. I've been holding it since 2018 when it was Flexicoin, so it's treated me really well. But there's
awesome.
There's tons of them.
Awesome.
Really, I just wanted to bring clarity to that.
Thanks, Robert.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things that the callers who are calling in and are hearing about different coins, one of the beauty is one of the companies that we work with, some black folks who created their own coin, their own crypto coin, currency coin, and they're using it while we were talking with Tony
Hold on,
Brown.
right there, Twins. We got to take a short break here. We're cruising up to the top of the hour, so some of our stations need to identify themselves down the line. Stations like FM 95.9 and AM 1450, WOL, where information is power.
The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most awesomest.
On 1450 and 95.9.
You're rocking with the most awesomest.
Worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
With the most awesomest. All right, let's go.
And thank you for staying with us, folks. Momentarily, we'll be speaking with Dr. Ray Wimbush, and also Brother Sengar's got an announcement to make before we speak with Dr. Wimbush. But right now, we're with the Mooney Twins talking about how to make some money. So I don't know if it was Daryl or Dwayne, but I'm going to let you finish your thought, and I got a question for you.
What I was saying is there's a right now, all these coins people are using, they talked about Walmart, they talked about different entities. There are black people right now, brother, that are creating their own coins, or we work with one of the companies, create their own cryptocurrency, and they're using this cryptocurrency as a currency to circulate within their own company. So black businesses are doing businesses with each other with goods and services using their own cryptocurrency, and when you're using it like that, it causes the coin to go up. So when you invest and purchase the coins and you're circulating it, it is backed up by the circulation, the coin goes up. So the whole community can become richer. So think about that too. As you're dealing in the cryptocurrency industry, you can create your own coin, and that coin can be used as a currency to economically build your community. Very, very powerful. So also diversify. You can work with us if you're trading. That's great. But you can also allow us to help you trade, because we trade for you. Our companies trade for you, where you make weekly returns while you're out there doing your own trade.
Hey, John,
I got a tweet question for you fellas. Twitter says, Mooney Twins, can we buy precious metals, gold, silver, platinum with cryptocurrency?
Yes, but you have to transfer that cryptocurrency into dollars, then you can buy the coin. But that's a whole nother story. You can do anything with cryptocurrency. But this is what I wanted to say, because people were talking about AMP, and by the way, Daryl, it's on crypto.com as well. I just looked at it.
Yeah.
And also I want to say this. With that, Daryl and I, we don't use Coinbase because Coinbase fees are too high and they have too much control. And I want to say, for those who use Coinbase, use their sister company, Coinbase Pro. That's the app that you can get. So you're already in it. If you're in Coinbase, you're in Coinbase Pro. Just put up the app and use your information for Coinbase. You can get in it. The fees are cheaper. I don't know why they do it like that, but use Coinbase Pro. I don't like Coinbase because the fees are too high. We use crypto.com. Get our link with that if you want to use that. But they do have AMP, and they have other cryptocurrencies. And I just bought some AMP as we were talking earlier, and it is still 6 cents. So that's what we do. Daryl and I about diversification. We invest in coins. We have people trading coins. I invest in the Forex. We have bosses trading the Forex. We're all over the place because we believe in diversity and multiple streams of investment income.
Let me share this story with you. And I sent this story to you guys last week about the top soccer player in the world, Leo. I forget his last name. Anyway, he moved from Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain. That's how I pronounce it. Paris Saint-Germain. So people anglicize it, but it's Paris Saint-Germain. But anyway, he makes $1 million a week, a soccer player. And they're paying him in Bitcoin. Part of it is being paid in Bitcoin. So the soccer club decided to make their own Bitcoin. Just think about if the Lakers made their own Bitcoin and paying their players, and people could invest in their Bitcoin. That would, and because the Europeans are way ahead of the game.
Whoa,
that's crazy.
That's powerful. You will see a lot of creative financial deals made like that as we're progressing, because this NFTs, this thing is getting wild out here. So people really, really need to stay financially aware, get their financial IQ up, and come on in and make this money. This is not just something we are doing. This is worldwide, Carl. This is international. There are more millionaires being created today ever before in the history of this planet. And a lot of it has to do with cryptocurrency. So, folks, come on. Let's make this money.
When I read that, I thought about Leo Messi. That's his name. I thought about what if we started doing it here? If the Lakers start doing it, the Yankees start doing it, issuing their own cryptocurrency, leverage their name, their brand, and even the radio stations start doing it.
You know who will be the first radio station started doing? Yeah. You know who the first person in the athletics who's going to do that? Mark Cuban. He'll do that. He'll probably be the first one doing that because he's already pushing Bitcoin. He's already pushing cryptocurrency. And Nas is a big investor in Coinbase. Nas. So you got all these rappers who are making money in cryptocurrency. What's the other guy's name? The African brother, what's his name? Starts with an A. Who discovered the lady who was the Star is Born? What the new Star is Born? Well, I forget his name, but he's got a whole
Akon.
Yeah, Akon. He's got a whole city where the Japanese are backing him with cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency is happening on small levels and it's happening on international big levels with super wealthy people. Don't let them trick you. A lot of propaganda that's negative about cryptocurrency is being put out there to keep you away from it. But at the same time, there are millionaire, billionaire investors who are getting more and more Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and they're trying to control the market. But as long as the people keep learning and keep investing and keep learning, the level of the playing field has actually been level, and it's right here before your eyes.
All right.
I just
We got to
want
let
to
you fellas go. But before we let you go, how can folks reach you? Go
I
ahead.
want to mention on ACON, that's China that's backing it.
China. Okay, China, Japan. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, that's all.
So how do we reach you fellas?
You reach us a few ways. You can go to DwayneMoney.com, DwayneMoney.com, and leave your information there. You can go to Mooney Star, email Mooney@hotmail.com, Mooney@hotmail.com, and you can also call the number 213-357-0970, 213-357-0970, 213-357-0970.
Also, you can go on Facebook and invite yourself to the Wealth Portal Group. The Wealth Portal Group. That's our investment club on Facebook, the Wealth Portal Group.
All right. Thanks, guys. And thanks for the work that you do, trying to make people. Let me, real quick before I leave, some people think that, can you be conscious and be rich? Because, a lot of people feel once you got a lot of money, you're no longer conscious.
They're scared of success. You're talking about scared of failure. They're scared of success.
You can.
Here's the quote that yes, you can. And here's what you want to leave with. He or she who has the consciousness and the money, he or she who has the consciousness and the money has the power. Consciousness and the money has the power. Think about that, meditate on that, contemplate on that, get that money.
All right. Thanks, Mooney Twins. We'll talk later.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, folks. That's Daryl and Dwayne Mooney, the Mooney Twins. Come up, we're going to speak with Dr. Ray Wimbush. Do we have Dr. Wimbush with us?
Yeah.
Hold on a second, Doc. Do we have Brother Senghor with us?
Hello?
Is Brother Senghor Bay there? Brother Senghor.
I'm here. Hi.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, greetings.
Greetings. Something's taking place today for Brother Renoko.
Yes,
today. Want to announce that?
Yes, today is Brother Renoko's 67th Earth Day, and the division of the UNIA ACL RC 2020 Harambe Division 369 is hosting a birthday tribute at 7:30 p.m. tonight. Everybody can look at it on Facebook.com/UNIA Division 330. Renoko served in several divisions, but his last division was the Harambe Division. We have Tony Browder on and quite a few others. Adasi will be talking about his 40-day rights coming up, as well as giving people updates, but more so important, honoring his legacy, his work. So it's a 67th Earth Day tribute to the legacy of Dr. Renoko Rashidi tonight at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, Facebook.com/UNIA Division 330. And I want to thank you. The Mooney Twins are talking about paradigm shifts. They're not playing. The brothers are off the chain. Thank you, Carl, for bringing it. And my brother Ray, I'm sure, is going to take us to the next level.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Senghor.
Thank you.
And Brother Wimbush, Dr. Wimbush, kind of shocking with what happened to Renoko. Caught everybody off guard.
Yeah, it did. It really did. It's a great loss. I mean, incredible loss. So, I'm glad that they're looking at it, Ascension, and they're having a ceremony behind it, but it's a great loss. We're losing people that are almost impossible to replace, and I hope to hear young people say that, look, my life is going to be dedicated to finding the African presence throughout the world and giving us more information about Africans throughout the planet, like Renoko did.
Yeah, and you're out there. You know, you're in the community. You're with the conscious folks, I should say, Pan Africanists and all that. You seen a group of young people coming up to replace some of the old heads, if you will?
Boy, you talking about putting me on the spot on that one. You know,
Well, I tell you what, hold that thought right there. I'll let you think about that one because we come up on a break. Because hopefully you have an affirmative answer on that one. Folks, you want to join us to speak with Dr. Ray Wimbush, 800-450-7876, and we'll take your calls after this short break right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450, WOL, where information is power. And thank you for staying with us, folks. Our guest is Dr. Ray Wimbush from Morgan State University. And before we left, because Dr. Wimbush is a professor there, I was asking him about a lot of our scholars making their transitions. It seems at this time of the year or just the time, actually. We've lost quite a few in the past few years. I was asking him if he's seen any replacements, because I know you deal with young people, especially in the classroom. Are you seeing young people enthusiastic about becoming scholars?
You know, not as much as it was, let's say, 20, 30 years ago. I think, like Saturday, I participated in the Nubian, the National Black Leadership Summit, and there were several young people. There was one sister there, really just a bright sister. Her name is Afia Mbila Shaka, and she's a psychologist in the D.C. area, just absolutely brilliant, very young, and has combined, you know, she's not only a psychotherapist. In fact, she has a website called Psych Hair Therapy, but she also is a hairdresser, and she has a vision of the world. You see it in pockets. Last night I was reading about the origins of SNCC in Kwame Ture's book, Ready for Revolution, and the pervasiveness of political consciousness that was kind of automatic 50, 60 years ago isn't as much now, but I see pockets of it in various places, like the National Black Leadership Summit, you know, the Siddiqui Kambon convened. But it's not as pervasive. But, you know, in my classes at Morgan, I see several students who want to do their PhDs in psychology. I see, but again, not as much.
Is that a reaction to the times? Because when we were coming up, the world was different, you know, and we had to react. You know, black is beautiful, the whole 9 yards, the whole blackness, and being aware of who you are and loving yourself. And that seems like that somehow there's a gap between those in the 60s, 70s to what is going on today. Because a lot of these young people just don't seem to be in that trend of thought.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that there's also this, you know, people keep calling it the generation gap. Every time it seems like I'm going into meetings, and I'm talking about larger meetings, the young people are complaining that we don't listen to them. But I think it's not as true as they think it is. I was reading about the interaction, again, between Kwame Ture and Ella Baker, who started SNCC, and she was an elder. And they listened to her word for word. I think, you know, I've said this before, I'm very troubled when, like last summer during the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor demonstration, that you see signs that said, this is not your grandfather's civil rights movement. You know, which is kind of a light diss about the 60s generation. And I think they've been fed, you know, and I hope that we get a chance to talk about it, a curriculum that only gave them Martin Luther King. They didn't give them the Republic of New Africa, or they didn't give them the Black Liberation Army. So I think that, you know, the young people now are just not as aware of history as our generation was, and some of the things that were challenging us there.
You know, and having said that, now we want to get to the topic where some of these schools, especially in Texas, they're trying to rewrite history. And I gave the example, they want to say our ancestors were immigrants instead of captured and enslaved people. And first, as a professor, as a teacher in the classroom, how do you make this? What's that going to happen? What's going to happen to our young people who, this is in a book, and they're going to read in a book and they think it's true. White kids are going to believe it's true. Black kids are going to believe it's true. What's that going to do to our people then at that level?
Well, it's going to make them less aware of history. And again, history is our best teacher, as Minister Malcolm said. I think that you're seeing, at an HBCU, that ain't a problem. Or in an all-black high school, that ain't as much of a problem. But I think that students like in Texas and California lead the nation in the production of high school textbooks. And if young people, and I'm talking not college-age people, but I'm talking about middle school and high school children are not exposed to an accurate portrayal of history, they're going to grow up thinking that the world is something that is not. My friend Hakeem Adubu, he jokingly used to say, Doc, in about 300 years, Martin Luther King is going to be white. And if we don't teach our children our history, and if these white supremacists continue to manufacture and publish and install books that call our ancestors, instead of being enslaved, call them interns or workers, there's going to be a confused generation of young black people, and that ignorance will be passed along.
And what will that do to the reparations fight?
It'll damage it. And let me say this, Carl, this is not anything new. There was a real nice article written in Mother Jones a couple of weeks ago. Back in 1829, right after David Walker issued his appeal, which said all enslaved Africans in this country should rise up and slay their master, there was a series of fires in Augusta, Georgia. And white people thought that it was because of what David Walker had written in his appeal and distributed throughout the South, that this was the black folk were burning down their buildings and attacking them. And so the governor of Georgia, there were laws passed throughout the United States that banned the distribution and publishing of abolitionist literature. So white people, I should say the white supremacists, have always been against the liberation of black people 200 years ago or 2 years ago. And so that's why you're seeing the banning of the 1619 Project, the reinterpretation of history as it deals with enslavement. And if you take out and white out enslavement, then it damages the reparations movement, because the reparations struggle is about teaching history and what this country did to our ancestors and what they owe us.
So do you think this attempt to rewrite history is also an end around to end reparations?
I believe that, I think that there is, the direct answer to your question is yes. I think that there is an attempt across the board of people classified as white feeling fearful that black people, Mexicans, women, and others are, quote, taking their country away from white males, which this country said in its founding documents it belonged to, and they want to bring it back to white males who are wealthy. And I think, so there is an attempt to do that. And I think it's reflected first in education. The 1619 rejection of Nicole Brown from University of North Carolina is no accident. I'm glad she's coming to an HBCU along with Ta-Nehisi Coates. But this is a deliberate attempt to recontrol, if you please, the United States and place it firmly in the hands of conservative white males.
So what can we do about it? How can we fend that off? Because as we mentioned earlier, that once it's in the books and our students, our children are going to read it and they're going to believe it. They're going to get tests on it. And so they have to regurgitate whatever was in that book if they want to pass a test, even if you tell them something different at home. And it may stick in their subconsciousness and they may believe it. And the white kids, of course, are going to believe it. So how do we combat that? What do we do?
Well, I always tell black parents there's a difference between, public schools and to a lesser degree, even private schools. They train our people. There's a difference between being trained and being educated. We have to educate our children. That takes place in the home, how your home is decorated, what you are reading, what you're looking at on television, what you're presenting to your children. Schools will train a child, indoctrinate a child. Very few schools in this country, unless they're private or unless they're African-centered, will teach a black child what it means to be an African child. And we have to do that as parents. I'm always struck how when Japanese move their companies to this country or Koreans move their companies to this country, that they set up Saturday schools. And I've said before, I think black churches ought to be about the business of at least one night a week, dedicating it to a course in black history so that we educate ourselves. We can't let public school system, people classified as white, educate us. We have to educate ourselves, and we have to educate our children.
Do you think that part of the problem is we've been so Europeanized, if you will, that we never think of teaching our children about our history, black history, because we just don't think it's worthy to teach our children about that?
I think the answer is yes, and I think that, like several people have said, that, and it's an indictment of us when we say most black folk are not, trying to defeat white supremacy or provide counter-racist strategies, but most black people are trying to find a more comfortable place within the system of white supremacy. And that's something that this society encourages, wants, and pushes our students toward. And I think that we've got to be conscious of the fact that this society has never wanted us here, has never wanted us to be a part of this society unless it's in a subservient role. And as they see black folk becoming more assertive, demanding more things such as reparations, they're going to retaliate.
I'd hope to think that it's because they don't know the difference, that they're still in that sunken place. And it's not that they're actually aware of it, and they choose to get a better spot in the system of racism and white supremacy. But I hear the music coming, so I'll let you respond to that on the other side. Folks, you want to join this conversation, reach out to us, 800-450-7876, to speak to Dr. Wimbush. And we'll take your calls after this quick break on FM 95.9 and AM 1450, WOL, where information is power.
Listen to The Carl Nelson Show on Alexa.
And thank you for staying with us, folks. We're having a conversation with Dr. Ray Wimbush from Morgan State University. If you'd like to join this conversation, reach out to us. 800-450-7876 gets you in. Before we left, Dr. Wimbush was telling us that many people, not all of us, but some people in our community, they don't want to get rid of racism and white supremacy. They just are looking for a better spot in the system of racism, white supremacy, trying to get a bigger biscuit, if you will. And my retort was maybe it's because they don't know that they're in that sunken place, because other people who would try to do it. I would hate to figure out that some of our people know what it is and not in a sunken place and still refuse to help get their emancipation. Still won't free their minds. So help us out here, Dr. Wimbush. Your thoughts?
Well, as a psychologist, I think some people really, we use the term self-hatred kind of, loosely and casually, but there are black people who don't like who they are and love the system of white supremacy and are constantly, seeking, crumbs from the master's table relative to being accepted in that white society. The level of self-hatred, I think sometimes we underestimate it within our community. Is this pervasive throughout our community? Absolutely not. But there are people, and I've talked to them in therapy, who say, I just don't like being black. I don't like who I am. I feel more comfortable.
Wait, hold that thought right there. Are we talking about 2021, 2020? People are saying stuff like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not capable or able to say who these people are, but we see them in places like, people like Clarence Thomas, Stacey Dash, in my own city of Baltimore, Ben Carson. We see people who overtly, curry the favor and want to be accepted by people classified as white. And it's a form of self-hatred. We use the term Uncle Tom a lot, but I always tell people to really read his history. He helped black folk behind the scenes. I always prefer the term super slave, like a powerful black person who still curries the favor of people classified as white. So I think that this shows the success of the system of white supremacy in downloading his lethal ideas into our brains of some of us, not all of us. There's always been a conscious group of people in our community. I don't want to start, but Renoko, who seeks out information to distribute to our people. But there's also people who militate against that who have been doing that for hundreds of years. I mean, Denmark Vesey in 1822 was betrayed by black folk. So was I'm blocking his name in early 1800s, and Gabriel Prosser. He was betrayed by black folk. The first black man the FBI hired, was there to undermine Marcus Garvey. So we have those people within our community that betray us, and I think they just don't feel comfortable about dreaming of a black world.
So when you, without mentioning names though, when you, and this is 2021, and you say you're having conversations with folks who don't like being black, do they tell you why?
Yeah, most of them, and this is why I think it's so important to educate our children and as many in black environments as possible. Many of them went to what their parents thought was the best school, which oftentimes is the white school. The private white school. They've been around white people nearly all of their lives. They've heard very, very little about who they are as African children. So they grow up that way. They send them off to college, and they'll, in the environment, they will say, I'm in Harvard, I'm in Yale, and they'll be proud of the fact that even though they got accepted to an HBCU, they preferred an Ivy League school like Cornell, Yale, or Harvard over that black college. And I think that those is how they're indoctrinated when they are little. And part of this is I blame it on the parents. E. Franklin Frazier years ago talked about the black bourgeoisie, and not all black bourgeoisie people are like that, but many of them are. And they think that what we've got to do is have our children mimic white society as closely as possible so that they will be, quote, successful. And in that process, they do psychological damage to the African identity of their black children.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because it is in our community, because even in the black colleges, you see a lot of folks that, they figure that Howard is the Harvard of the HBCU group. So, they feel better that they went to Howard instead of Hampton or FAMU or Morgan, where you're at. How did that come about, though? Because I don't feel that way, so I'm just asking. How do people process and feel that I'm a little bit better than my black brother because I go to so and so. I went to Howard and he went to Hampton, or he went to Morgan.
I'm a member of AKA
exactly.
rather than Delta, or Q's rather than whatever. AKA Alpha Phi Alpha. What it is, we are taught. We have to understand that we are under assault 24 hours a day by white supremacy. And people say, oh, that's an exaggeration. You look at commercials on TV. You see white more than you see black during the day in a variety of settings. Sometimes it's very subtle, which I think is, the most dangerous thing. And then within our own communities, we start looking for divisions. We'll say, well, you're Baptist, I'm Methodist. I graduated from FAMU. And by the way, I'm sending my grandson there tomorrow, in fact. We're looking for differences rather than commonality. And I think that, HBCUs can teach one that but then we get out and we'll start, competing again. And again, I think that's how we have been divided and conquered, not only in this country, but in South Africa, where white people made a distinction between African, coloreds, and all this other stuff like that. It's a constant battle for our minds to make us feel less than we are and to create division among us.
And we see the same thing played out in Haiti as well.
We do. I'm glad you mentioned that. I talked a few minutes ago, right before this call, to the great, I hope she's listening to this, the great grandniece of the president of Haiti in the late 1890s. His name was, I got it written down, Hippolyte, and Florville Hippolyte. And she told me that one of the issues that she's Haitian, she said one of the issues that we don't like to talk about is colorism among us. The idea of light skin, dark skin. That is something that has, again, been among us for hundreds of years because of the system of white supremacy, which is global. So she was talking about how there's always been the lighter skinned Creole class that partially immigrated to New Orleans 200 or 250 years ago. They are held in higher esteem than the darker skinned people. But this is, again, not just unique to us. We know that Asian women every year, the last count that I saw was 150,000 Asian women slitting their eyes through plastic surgery to make their eyes look more Western and European. The idea of bleaching skin, which is among us. That is not only among us, it's among Asians as well. So the system of white supremacy is constantly trying to recruit us in ways, deliberately through money. It can be recruiting us psychologically through commercials on TV or the art that we produce. It recruits us constantly, and we have to realize that war that we're in, whether or not it's declared by us, it is declared by the system.
Yeah, but how does it, it doesn't affect everybody. You and I, it didn't touch, but some of the other folks who indulge in that kind of thing because they think they're better than, for some reason, whether they went to a better school or lighter skin or whatever it is, the paper bag, you name it. How did they get that thinking? How would people be able to penetrate their minds? That's what I'm searching for.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. When I was teaching at Vanderbilt, I can say this because this was more than 20 years ago. When I was teaching at Vanderbilt, I had a young black man who was an athlete come to me, and he was his mother was white, his father was black, and he said that he hated being black. Now his father was black. They were divorced. His parents were divorced. His mother, after she divorced the father, just inundated him. It was almost like she was trying to root out of him any semblance of blackness. Now, I'm sure it was because of her, anger towards her ex-husband and stuff, but it took root in her son, and he did not feel comfortable around black people at all. At Vanderbilt, he hung out with white people. He had a white girlfriend, and he came to me because he realized something was wrong. And he said, as I said earlier, he said, I think it's how my mother, she did everything she could to make being black a negative thing. And I think it's because of my father. I think that what you've got to look at is how and what we expose our children at a very young age. The famous Kenneth Clark studies where they choose the doll, the white doll, the black doll.
Yeah, hold that thought right there. I'll let you explain his story to some of the folks who are probably young and didn't see that story. 800-450-7876 to speak to Dr. Wimbush. We'll take your calls after this short break right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Listen to the Carl Nelson Show now on our free mobile app.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. Our guest is Dr. Ray Wimbush from Morgan State University in Baltimore. I'd like to speak to him, 800-450-7876. Before we get back to him, though, let me just remind you, coming up later this week, a medical doctor, Dr. Velva Bowles, is going to join us. She's got an alternative to the vaccine, especially those of you who are teachers who've got children in the classroom. You don't want to miss this show. Also, Dr. Julius Garvey is going to be here tomorrow. That's his dad's birthday, Marcus Garvey Day around the world. And also, Dr. Gerald Horn from the University of Houston is going to join us as well. So if you're in the DMV, keep your radio locked right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL. And Doc, before I take some calls for you, I want you to finish the story, but also tell us the brother who hated being black because he was biracial, if you will. How black was he physically?
Well, he was lighter skinned. So it wasn't that he was, we call it chocolate brown. He was, I guess they call it cafe au lait. But he didn't feel, I think that his mother drilled into his head that being black was something bad. It was linked with the fact that, his parents were divorced. And I think that those early things in the childhood of black children make a big difference. I mentioned earlier the Kenneth and Mamie Clark experiments. Many of you are familiar with the so-called doll test, where they would show a black doll and a white doll to black children, and they said, choose the doll that was pretty. And the black children at 5 and 6 years old would choose the white doll. Show the doll that's ugly, they choose the black doll. Show the child doll, choose the doll that is good, the white doll. Choose the doll that is bad, the black doll. And these experiments have been those were in the late 1940s, early 1950s. They replicated these experiments. Kerry Davis in 2005 replicated them, same thing. And even more recently, my colleague Margaret Spencer, we both went to school together. She replicated them for CNN in 2010, and it was still the same way. So I think that we underestimate the early influence that the system of white supremacy has on our children. And we can't do that. We have to give our children a deliberate psychological education in being an African in America and being a young child in the system of white supremacy.
I'm glad you mentioned it was done in 2010, you said?
2010.
Yeah, we're still going through that, man. It's just mind blowing,
It is.
When you think about it, our babies think like that, and somehow you feel like, what did we do or what didn't we do, why they think like that?
Well, I think that we have unchecked explanations of cartoons, commercials on TV. Even my colleagues, I think we talked about this, even my colleagues have noticed the increase of interracial couples on commercials on TV. That is subtle programming. Just seeing single mothers with their children without a black male present, or vice versa. It's almost like saying there is no such thing as the black family anymore. We know that marriage rates among black folks have dipped precipitously over the past 15 or 20 years. The new census, in fact, that came out last week shows this. And I think that we, again, underestimate how powerful this system of white supremacy is. And we have to be vigilant to fight against it, 24/7. And, it's just here, and we need to fight against it constantly.
I don't know if you saw this during the Olympics. They did a piece on Allison Felix. Went to USC, and they showed her coming home, and her husband was there. They didn't mention him, it was, and her daughter was there, but they never mentioned them as a family. They didn't mention who dude is. This is her husband. Right. They I guess they were trying to portray, is she a single mother or something? But yet still, you have the soccer player and the basketball player, Sue Bird and Rapinoe, the soccer player, who were in a relationship, and they made a big deal about that. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I saw the one. I didn't see the one with the soccer player, but I saw when Allison came on. I wish they would say something sometime like, "Oh, this is a beautiful black family." I mean, which we'll never hear on TV. And then we have these shows like Mixish. That's one of my students on. There's a new show. They had Blackish. Maybe they're gonna have Whitish pretty soon. But they have one called Mixish. It's a white male married to a black woman. And so these are all cues for black children to say things to themselves. Wow, the best person to marry is a white woman, or the best person to marry is a white man. The number one instructor of black boys in this country is not a black male or a female, it's a white female. So at early ages, they get poured into a cup of white supremacy, and what we've got to do again is rescue them out of it. And you do that by giving instruction every day, letting your house reflect that you are a black couple or a black family, and do that constantly, talking to your children about those things.
Right, and those people too at NBC, hopefully they've got some producers and some reporters there. They should say, "Hey, this is a family." Since they feel intimidated and scared they lose their job, they say this is a great good black family. Just say this is a family. This is a husband. Right. This is their child. And this is Alex and Felix. But they went all the way through with Megan Rapinoe, the soccer player, and Sue Bird, the basketball player, showing them kissing. Actually, I'm like, wait a minute. They uphold that and yet still won't show that this is a black family. They try to make it sound like that's probably her boyfriend or something. Right. To me, it was just it just didn't sit right with me just watching that piece.
Exactly. And I saw the one. I know exactly which one you're talking about. I felt the exact same way. Why don't they celebrate this black couple with these beautiful children? And, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Hold on, Doc. 800-450-7876. Ben's joining us. He's in D.C. He's on line one. Ben, you're on with Dr. Wimbush.
Yeah, Dr. Wimbush, whenever you come on, I have to stop doing what I'm doing and I'll listen to you because you have such great information and such great resources. But my question is a question about mentorship. Not everyone can't mentor everyone, but everyone should mentor someone who is less fortunate than themselves or someone who is in distress. And people, we have this tendency either to beat up on each other and to walk on each other. We don't think that we are mentoring each other anymore. But I know that we have a lot of good people out here. I know the position that you are in, that you find yourself mentoring those who are less fortunate or those who may be in distress. And we need to hear some encouraging news. So can you please, without, of course, breaching confidentiality, talk about how you are able to mentor people that you come across that are in distress or less fortunate than yourself, whether it's by making a phone call, writing a letter, or making a referral. We need some encouraging news that people still do these kinds of things. And I do thank you, and I'll take the answer off the air.
Yeah, well, first of all, I would challenge everybody listening to this show to look up the origins of the word mentor. It was a Greek word, and I'm not going to say it on the air, but look it up. I prefer the word jegna. It's a Aramaic term from East Africa. Wade Noble, the psychologist, has written a lot about it. And a jegna is somebody who knows the history of their community, is willing to protect their community, and willing to die for their community. And they exhibit that with the people that they teach. So you've got to be dedicated as a jegna to really be a role model, a mentor. Take a young person under your arm and make sure that they understand who they are as an African. I've said it before that if I see a young black couple walking down the street, I'll say something complimentary to us. You guys sure look beautiful as a black couple. And I'm always amazed at the couples. Not once have I ever done that. And they'll say to me, "What are you talking about?" They'll say, "Oh, thank you very much. As an elder, I'm supposed to do that." We need more jegnas in our community. We need more people, men and women, who are willing to understand their culture, pass it on, defended even to the point of death. And I think that one of the problems we have now is that we don't have that many Jegnas in our community. We did, again, years ago, Fannie Lou Hamer, Malcolm, Martin, Rosa Parks, people who are willing to say, I will die if necessary for my community. That's what a Jegna does, and hopefully we'll get more of them as we deepen ourselves in our African self.
Yeah, because one way that we lost was Brother Renoko, unapologetically.
Yeah. Unapologetically African, never. I mean, Renoko, one of the last things he said, he wrote it actually a few months before he passed a couple of weeks ago. He said that there is no excuse right now for African people around the globe not to understand our own history. I mean, we should be ashamed when people we say things like, they're keeping our history from us. They're going to attempt to do that. But we have more knowledge available to us right now through books, the internet, and so forth than any other time in our history, far more than we did in the 1950s and 1960s. And we should take advantage of it. I mean, our ancestors died just to learn to read. And if, I tell, like Haki Madhubuti says, he said, we should always be reading a book. I see, kids carrying these cell phones like I do, but we should be reading on them, as well as talking on them.
That's for real. 800-450-7876. Grant's in D.C. is on line 2. Grant, you're on with Dr. Wimbush.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Boy, you guys are covering a lot of territory. But I wanted to make a point on the fluidness of racism, in that white folks' racism is so fluid, it changes with the decades. Example, my aunt by marriage who just passed away at 100. My uncle married her. She was an extremely light-skinned woman that looked white. So she got a job in a bank. And the bank, she worked there for about 2-3 weeks. They loved her. Then my uncle came to pick her up from work, and they saw him. And they were like, wait a minute, your husband's a Negro? And that means, are you a Negro? She said, yes. They fired her the next day. Wow. So what I'm saying is that we get caught up in this complexion thing. And the thing I thought about her was, as I grew older, was the respect factor I had for her, because she could have gone, especially in the 50s and 40s, just, let me go on about my business and live a better life. I'm not going to be subjected to racism. She chose to marry a black man and live with, in black families and live with black people. She made that choice. They tell the same story about Adam Clayton Powell. We know what he looked like. When he went to college, they said there were 4 blacks that went to Cornell, I believe it was. And when you go to schools like that, you look each other up. And the 3 found each other. They never found the 4th one. Come to find out, it was Adam Clayton Powell, but Adam Clayton Powell was passing himself off as a Caucasian, hanging out with...
Hold that thought right there, Grant. We got to take a short break. Some of our stations can identify themselves down the line at the top of the hour. Stations like FM 95.9 and AM 1450, WOL, where information is power.
The Carl Nelson Show. On 1450 and 95.9. Worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
And thank you for staying with us, folks. Having a conversation with Dr. Ray Wimbush from Morgan State University. You want to join us? 800-450-7876. Before we left, we were speaking with Grant, calling from the district. So, Grant, I'm going to let you finish your thought.
Yeah, I was make 2 points. The point I was making was the complexion thing is the shackles that white folks have put on us, because the bottom line with them was they don't even care what color you are. If you're not white, you're not right. They will. That's even with Barack Obama, they hated him. We were all in the Barack Obama's half white. They detested that guy. They couldn't stand it. And they weren't caught up in him being half white. They were just, he's not white. So that's a major thing that we psychologically got in our brain. That the color thing is not them; it's us. And then as far as the HBCUs, I went to Tennessee State and then transferred to Iowa. I was playing ball, and at Tennessee State, it was just at the time I'm 63. At the time I was there, it was the old guard. The people from the 30s and 40s who took, man, they would sit down and talk to you like your father, like your mother and your father. Every student got that personal attention because they took it upon themselves to know that you were the next generation and they wanted you to be successful. When I transferred to Iowa, I was on my own. They didn't give a damn. I saw the white folks get that kind of attention, but not me. You on an island. So that's a distinction. So I was adamant about my children. One went to Hampton, and one went to Morgan. Morgan is a fabulous campus now. Hampton is nice because it sits on the water, but Morgan's got really some fantastic facilities. So that's my comment.
All right, thanks, Grant. And let me ask you this, Doc. I see now that a lot of white kids are going to these HBCUs.
Of course they are. Yeah, they are, and the reason why they're going because we're usually less expensive than white institutions. Many of them have gone out of their way not to go there and found out that it's closer to home and so forth. It is an amazing story that HBCU started off, as many of our institutions were started by people who thought they would fail. They were an incredible success, and now people are white people are, not us, reluctantly admitting that and said, look, we get a good deal there. We learn more about what the real world is like there. So, I'm very proud to say that I've been at HBCUs for many, many years and, will retire from one.
I see it at the graduate level, at the pharmacy school for FAMU, or Howard Law, medical. Do you see this at the undergraduate level as well?
You do. You see, right now, we usually get 5,000 applications a year for, a freshman class of about 12 to 1,300. This year, we got 15,000 applications. The HBCUs are bursting at the seam right now simply because of the fact that parents don't want their children to experience what Grant just said he experienced at Iowa State. They want their children to be in a nurturing environment where they are, counseled and talked to. So HBCUs are, experiencing a renaissance in terms of funding, in terms of enrollment and so forth. We're bursting at the seams at Morgan State right now. And I talked to a parent just yesterday, and Morgan just rented out an entire hotel to house our students. We're building a new dormitory on campus. The name of it is Thurgood Marshall Hall. So we reflect the culture that we're teaching our children.
Right, and they have a housing problem at Howard, but they always have. But now, because of the increased enrollment, as you mentioned, serious housing problem. So those of you in the Shaw area or around D.C., thinking about selling grandma and grandpa's home, you don't want to live there because you don't want to live in the district. Think about leasing out some of those rooms to some of these students at Howard.